All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick on the Power. So I've got a lot of interesting topics for you guys today. So the first topic I have for you guys is pro wrestling related, specifically related to John Cena. So John Cena and fellow WWE superstar Sheamus actually did a video that typically you don't see from pro wrestlers nowadays, and that was a bodybuilding posing video on YouTube. And I thought that was a pretty fascinating video because they were hitting some classic poses. And again, you don't typically see these wrestlers hit poses. You had Sheamus hit the Archer pose. You had Cena hit the Mantis pose made popular by Arnold Schwarzenegger. They were doing abs and thighs, most musculars, back double biceps. I think Sheamus even did the back variation of the Archer pose. And this video actually really impressed me because for those of you that don't know, John Cena is 41 years old. He's a relatively older pro wrestler. He's been doing this for about 2 decades. And for those 2 decades, he's pretty much been on the top of his game from the standpoint of, having this insanely, consistently shredded and big physique. Even prior to being a wrestler, he was actually a competitive bodybuilder. I'll show you guys some photos right here. So it's kind of cool to see John Cena getting back to his roots here and hitting some, bodybuilding poses. Just a pretty cool video overall. And for those of you guys that don't already follow his channel, Sheamus actually has one of the coolest channels, I think, on YouTube right now. He's got a channel called Celtic Warrior Workouts. And on that channel, what he does is essentially he has all these different WWE superstars come on, and he'll go through all their different individual workout routines with them. So you kind of get to see what each superstar does when they go to the gym. So it's kind of an interesting side of wrestling to see the different workouts that these different superstars do with the different physiques and the different things they want to train for, whether they're more athletic or acrobatic in the ring versus a bigger guy like John Cena. Just the different styles of training, I think, is actually fascinating to see in these videos. So in addition to some of the other stories in this video, it's been kind of a sad week and kind of a sad beginning to 2019. There's been 2 actually very sad stories. Number one, you probably already heard by now about the death of the legendary bodybuilder Ed Corney at the age of 85. And he passed away on January 1st, 2019. Very unfortunate, but he wasn't the only legend to pass away early in 2019. You had the legendary WWE promo cutter, interviewer, Hall of Famer, ringside straight man, Mean Gene Okerlund also passed away just 1 day after the passing of Ed Corney. So Gene Okerlund passed away on January 2nd, 2019 at the age of 76 years old. And the supposed cause of death here was apparently a very bad fall. So according to reports, Gene Okerlund was already in somewhat bad health, but in December he had a fall in his Florida home where he broke several ribs. And as a result of that, his poor health continued to decline up until his death on January 2nd, 2019. So rest in peace to Mean Gene Okerlund and also Ed Corney. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with the families of both of these legends in their respective sports. So the next story I have for you guys today is related to Big Ramy. So Big Ramy, obviously, as we all know, has a new coach for the 2019 Mr. Olympia, who is the coach of Flex Lewis, and that is Neil Yoda Hill, famous for popularizing that Y3T style of training. So Big Ramy and Neil Hill finally released their first public training video together. Now, one of the things about Neil Hill is not only is he a diet coach, and, things related to drugs like a typical bodybuilding guru would be, he's a very, very hands-on coach from what I've seen in terms of the actual training of the bodybuilders that are under his instruction. So Ramy and Neil released these clips of a leg training session with both of the two of them. Obviously, it appears to be a pretty intense leg training session. But, of course, Big Ramy is already known for having these crazy developed legs, so maybe Neil Hill will be able to bring out better separation and better detail in those legs of Big Ramy, not only through diet and whatever cycles Big Ramy is going on for the 2019 Olympia, but through possibly a different, maybe a more intense style of training. Now, it's kind of cool to see these training videos finally released because it really solidifies this new relationship that we have with Neil Hill and Big Ramy. We had heard the speculation, we heard them both confirm it, but now it's kind of legitimized that they're actually training together, and we get to see what kind of rapport they have with each other during this training. It seems like they get along very well. It seems like they have a good relationship, and this is the beginning of the 2019 version of Big Ramy that we're going to see most likely in May at the New York Pro, where he attempts to qualify again for the 2019 Mr. Olympia. Again, for those of you guys that don't know, Big Ramy has not yet qualified for the 2019 Olympia because he was not top 5 at the 2018 Olympia. So what we're seeing right now between Neil Hill and Big Ramy is the preparation, not for the Olympia, but the preparation for Big Ramy's next qualifying show, which again is most likely going to be that New York Pro in May of 2019. Now, I think myself and a lot of people would like to see Big Ramy do the Arnold Classic, but that would be kind of a risky move for Ramy because he really just needs to qualify for the Olympia early on and then focus all his time and energy on preparing for the Olympia again. So really the smartest move probably would be an easier show like the New York Pro rather than trying to do multiple shows like the Arnold and then the New York Pro where he might not have as good of a shot of winning the Arnold Classic. There's a very strong possibility he wouldn't win the Arnold Classic, but a much higher probability that he would win the New York Pro. Since, of course, he's already won it 2 times and he's never won the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. So he already has that track record of winning the New York Pro. So it'll probably be an easy win for Ramy. And I think he will look improved this year. I think he will look better. I think Neil Hill knows what needs to be done. I think he knows that Ramy needs to come in lighter. He needs to come in smaller and he needs to come in tighter and show better detail and conditioning. He said that in interviews. So I think at least Ramy's coach has acknowledged that he has the right frame of mind going into the 2019 season. So only time will tell. I think we have to see a better version of Big Ramy in 2019. If Ramy gets worse, I think that's probably the end of Big Ramy. But if he gets better, I think he's going to be able to stick around for maybe a couple years as a high placer at the Olympia. Now, the next story I have for you guys is Cody Montgomery. So Cody Montgomery is a very young IFBB pro. I believe he's the same age as me, if not younger than me. But Cody Montgomery, he started out his pro career as a men's open bodybuilder. He took top 10 at the Arnold Classic in 2016, I believe. And that was very impressive considering that he was significantly smaller than many men's open bodybuilders. And then later on in 2017, you would have the death of Dallas McCarver, following which Cody Montgomery made the decision to drop down to the 212 division. And I think the reason he gave was he wanted to focus on his health. He wanted to be around for his family. He realized he was a smaller bodybuilder anyway, so he wanted to try out the 212 division to maybe not have to push his body as hard as he would have to push it to be a men's open guy and carry around the mass that a men's open bodybuilder would carry around. So he switched to the 212 division, competed at the Toronto Pro Show, taking second to Zane Watson. And that's something I didn't think Cody Montgomery expected to do. I think following that 10th place finish in men's open at the second biggest bodybuilding show in the world, which I think was his pro debut as well. So he did very, very well for his pro debut at the Arnold Classic. Exceeded most people's expectations. So I'm sure going into a relatively smaller 212 show, he was expecting to pretty much come in and easily win that show. I'm sure that second place finish there was a pretty discouraging one, and that's what led to him wanting to switch back to the open division. So personally, I actually think he could have done pretty well had he stayed in 212. I don't really know necessarily that he has the size for men's open. Maybe now that men's open is trending downward, and I mean downward from the standpoint of aesthetics, going from these bigger guys to a guy like Sean Roden, maybe Cody Montgomery saw the writing on the wall there and said, okay, maybe bodybuilding is shifting back into a direction that I want to be a part of. And that's why he switched back to men's open, because maybe he thought he wouldn't have to be as big now, because the big guys aren't being rewarded like they used to be. But personally, I really do think he had a good physique for 212. He has an aesthetic physique. He's able to hit a vacuum pose. And even when he's in the open division, he's a smaller guy anyway. So I thought 212 was actually a good fit for Cody Montgomery. All right, so the final story that I have for you guys is Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Joseph Baena, yet again. I think the very first news update video that I did like this was actually about Arnold's son and the transformation of his physique. And ever since I did that news update video, Joseph Baena has been posting a lot more photos and videos in the gym where it appears he's taking this very, very seriously. And you can really see his physique is starting to progress more and more as the weeks and months go on. In these training videos, he looks more and more impressive the more and more videos we see from Joseph Baena. So I think, when we see this competitive debut of Arnold's son, whether it's 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whenever it is, whatever division it is, he says it's going to be classic physique. But whenever it is and whatever he competes in, I think we're not going to be disappointed. He said that he wants to stay natural on this transformation and on this initial competitive journey. And I think he's going to do that. And I think he's going to look very impressive. And I think when he does finally decide to do a show, even if it's a small local NPC show, if he wins it or he does well, I think it will be one of the biggest bodybuilding stories of that year, that Arnold Schwarzenegger's son won his first bodybuilding show. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.